The sky was gray and heavy and rain poured like tears from the clouds. Amara Blake pulled her thin coat tighter as she walked quickly down the wet sidewalk. Her old sneakers were soaked and the cold water crept through her socks, but she didn't stop. She had work to do. Amara was only 17, but she already worked 2 cleaning jobs and took care of her little sister, Zuri. Their parents had passed away in an accident 2 years ago, and since then, Amara had become both sister and mother. Zuri was only 5, with big eyes and curly hair, and she looked up to Amara like a superhero. Every morning, Amara got up before the sun, packed a sandwich for Zuri, and dropped her off at a neighbor's house before rushing to her cleaning job at the Crown Grand Hotel. It was a fancy place, gold doors, velvet chairs, and shiny floors that Amara had to mop until they sparkled like mirrors. People hardly noticed her. She wore a brown uniform, kept her head down, and worked quietly. But Amara didn't mind. She didn't clean for thanks, she cleaned for Zuri. As long as her sister had food and crayons and a warm bed, Amara could handle anything. That morning, the rain had made everything messy. Puddles filled the streets, and cars splashed as they passed. Amara was walking to the hotel, careful not to step in the deepest puddles, when she heard a loud honk. A sleek black car zoomed around the corner, tires spinning fast. Amara stepped back too late. A wave of cold, muddy water sprayed up and splashed her from head to toe. Her coat, pants, and face were dripping. She gasped and wiped her eyes. Then the car stopped. The back window slid down and a voice like sharp glass spoke. "Oh my! Look what the storm dragged out," said the woman inside. Amara blinked through the rain. The woman had long blonde hair, red lipstick, and a coat that probably cost more than Amara made in a month. She was laughing. Not just a little giggle, but a full, mean laugh. "You should be thankful. That mud might be the fanciest thing you've worn all year," the woman said. Amara didn't answer. She stood still, the rain still falling, her body cold but her face burning. "I said something funny, didn't I?" the woman asked again. Amara looked at her calmly. "Have a nice day, ma'am," she said softly. The woman's smile froze. She rolled her eyes and the window slid up. The car sped off again, leaving Amara shivering on the sidewalk. Across the street, behind the tinted window of a parked SUV, someone was watching. Logan Carter sat in the back seat of his quiet, dark car. He had been on his way to a business meeting, checking the traffic, when he saw the scene unfold. His driver had slowed down just in time. Logan had seen the muddy splash, heard the cruel laughter, and watched the quiet strength in the girl's eyes as she chose kindness instead of anger. Logan Carter was not just any man. He was the owner of Crown Grand Hotel, though most people didn't know his face. He liked to stay in the background, watching, learning. He believed in actions, not noise. And what he saw that morning stirred something in him, something deep and old. "Who is she?" Logan asked quietly. His assistant, seated beside the driver, looked confused. "Sir?" "The girl," Logan said. "The one with the courage." The assistant didn't know, but Logan would find out. Back at the hotel, Amara arrived dripping wet. Her boss frowned when he saw her clothes. "Try not to make a mess," he said without even asking if she was okay. Amara nodded and headed to the staff locker room. She changed into her backup uniform, which was too tight but at least dry. Her hair was still wet and her hands shook a little from the cold, but she pushed through it. She had mopping to do, mirrors to wipe, and guest bathrooms to clean. She didn't have time to cry. But that night, when she picked up Zuri from the neighbors, the little girl looked up at her and said, "You're the best big sister in the world." And just like that, Amara smiled. The next morning, Logan Carter sat at his office in the top floor of the hotel. He had learned the girl's name, Amara Blake, cleaner, orphan, full-time guardian to her little sister, lived in a tiny apartment 2 buses away, got straight A's before dropping out of school to work. Logan stared at her file. There were no awards or trophies, but her life told a different story, a story of hard work, sacrifice, and quiet bravery. He leaned back in his chair. "Let's keep an eye on her," he told his assistant. Quietly, over the next few weeks, small things began to happen. Amara found a pair of clean new shoes in the locker room with a note that said, "For someone who walks with strength." No name. One morning, the hotel manager suddenly promoted her to clean the guest floors. A better job with tips. Amara was surprised but grateful. Then came the envelope. She found it slipped into her locker after her shift. Inside was a full scholarship to the Crowville Hotel Academy. Tuition paid. Books covered. Room and board included. Amara thought it was a joke. "Why me?" she asked her boss. He shrugged. "Someone must think you're worth it." She stared at the letter for a long time. Then she looked at Zuri, who was drawing pictures of them in a big house one day. I have to try, Amara whispered. She enrolled. The first day at Crownville Hotel Academy was like stepping into another world. The school was beautiful, polished floors, golden signs, and students in shiny shoes and smooth voices. Everyone looked rich. Everyone looked confident. Except Amara. She wore a clean thrifted shirt and held her bag tight. She could feel people staring. Whispering. One voice rang out above the rest. "Oh no," said a cold, familiar voice. "Please tell me they're not letting cleaners in now." Amara turned. It was her. The woman from the car. Crystal Monroe. Amara's stomach turned. Crystal didn't recognize her. Not in a school uniform. Not with her hair brushed and her clothes clean. But her voice was the same, sharp and icy. Crystal stepped closer. "You look like you got lost on your way to scrub a toilet." Amara stayed quiet. She didn't need to fight. She'd already won just by being there. She walked past Crystal without a word. That night, Amara cried. Not because of Crystal, but because the classes were hard. The students were fast, and she felt like a tiny fish in a huge golden pond. But the next morning she got up, and the morning after that, and the one after that. She studied harder. She practiced more. She asked questions. She helped others even when they didn't help her. And slowly something began to change. Teachers started to notice her. A guest speaker, an older woman who had started her own hotel chain, praised Amara's thoughtful answer in class. A top chef asked her to help with a student banquet. And somewhere, high above in the Crown Grand Office, Logan Carter watched her grow, proud and silent. He had seen many rich people fall. But this girl was rising. And she didn't even know who was watching. Amara sat at the corner desk of her hotel class, her notebook open, her eyes focused. The Crownville Hotel Academy was harder than she thought it would be. Everyone around her seemed to belong, like they were born to stand in shiny buildings with important names and big futures. Amara still felt like the girl who mopped floors and rushed home to feed her little sister, Zuri. But she wasn't here by mistake. She reminded herself every day. Someone believed in her. Someone paid for her scholarship. Someone gave her this chance. She still didn't know who. At school, the teachers were strict but kind. They taught lessons on hotel management, guest service, food and dining, and leadership. Amara listened closely. She stayed after class to ask questions. She borrowed books from the school library and took notes in bed at night after Zuri had fallen asleep. Her life was still hard. She cleaned rooms part-time at night to help pay for bus fare and food. Zuri stayed with the neighbor after school. Amara missed her sometimes so badly it hurt. But every time she felt like quitting, she looked at Zuri's drawings stuck to the fridge. One of them showed Amara in a suit, standing next to a tall hotel building with the word manager on the door. She had to keep going. For Zuri. For herself. But not everyone at Crownville was kind. Crystal Monroe was still the same as the woman who'd splashed mud on her that rainy morning. Only now she wore a school uniform and her mean words came with a smile. "Oh, you're still here?" Crystal would say. "I thought you'd run off by now. This place isn't for maids." Amara never replied. She just gave a small smile and walked away. It wasn't weakness. It was power. But Crystal didn't know that. One day in class, the teacher announced a group project, plan a full hotel event, from check-in to catering. Crystal raised her hand right away. "Can I lead the project?" she asked sweetly. The teacher nodded. "Of course." Then Crystal said, "Amara can be part of my group. She knows how to mop floors. Maybe she can help us clean up after." Some students laughed. Amara froze for a moment. Her face felt hot. But she kept her voice calm. "I'd rather be in a group where people work together, not tear each other down." The room went silent. Even the teacher blinked. Crystal's smile cracked. Later that day, Amara found a sticky note on her locker, "Go back to cleaning toilets." She sighed. She wanted to cry. But when she went home and opened the door to see Zuri jumping into her arms, she knew it was all worth it. Meanwhile, up in the quiet top floor of the Crown Grand Hotel, Logan Carter was watching closely. Every week, he asked for updates on Amara. His assistant gave him reports, her test scores, her volunteer work, her part-time job. "Still no idea who gave her the scholarship?" the assistant asked one day. Logan smiled slightly. "She'll find out one day. But not yet." Logan remembered what it was like to be underestimated. He hadn't always been rich. He'd grown up poor too. His mother had worked as a cleaner in a hotel just like Amara. He remembered her tired hands, her quiet pride. That's why Amara reminded him of someone. That's why he cared. A few days later, Logan made another quiet decision. He sent a message to the manager of the hotel's guest relations team. A new position was opening for a junior assistant, someone who could help guests, handle complaints, and make visitors feel welcome. It was a small step, but a big one for someone just starting out. He gave one instruction: offer it to Amara Blake. When Amara was called into the school director's office, she thought she was in trouble. Her hands shook a little as she stepped inside. But instead of a punishment, the director handed her a letter. She opened it and read, "Congratulations. You've been selected as Junior Guest Relations Assistant at Crown Grand Hotel. Part-time. Paid. Start next week." Amara couldn't believe it. Her eyes filled with tears. She ran outside and called Zuri. "Guess what?" she said. "Your big sister is getting promoted." Zuri screamed with joy on the phone. "Can I tell my teddy bear?" Amara laughed. "Tell everyone." Back at the hotel, Amara began her new role. She swapped her brown cleaning uniform for a navy blazer with gold buttons. Her badge said Amara Blake Guest Relations. She stood at the front desk, helping people check in. She answered questions, showed guests around, and made sure they were happy. At first, some guests looked surprised to see a young black girl in that position. One woman whispered, "Are you sure you work here?" But Amara just smiled and said, "Yes, ma'am. How can I help you today?" Her kindness was her strength. Guests started asking for her by name. She was so helpful. She made me feel welcome. She reminded me of my own daughter. Soon, her coworkers noticed too. Even some of the students at the hotel academy started acting differently. One girl who used to ignore Amara now sat beside her in class and asked for help. But not Crystal. Crystal looked at her one day in the lobby, then turned her head and walked away. Amara just smiled to herself. She didn't need Crystal's approval. One evening after her shift, Amara was walking out of the hotel when she heard a soft voice behind her. "You're doing well." She turned. A tall man stood in the shadows, wearing a gray coat. His eyes were kind, but there was something powerful in them too. Like he knew things no one else did. "Thank you," Amara said slowly, unsure. "You don't remember me, do you?" he asked. Amara blinked. "Should I?" The man smiled gently. "Maybe not yet." Then he turned and walked away. Amara stood there for a long time. Something about his voice felt familiar. Like it belonged to a dream she hadn't finished. She didn't know it yet, but that was Logan Carter, the man who had seen her covered in mud, the man who'd given her a scholarship, the man who was quietly guiding her path. He didn't want credit. He just wanted to watch her rise. And she was rising slowly, surely, like the sun after a long night. Amara Blake had started in the mud. But now she was beginning to shine. It was a warm spring morning when Amara walked into the Crown Grand Hotel, dressed in her navy blue blazer, badge shining, hair neat in a bun. She was no longer the shy cleaner who mopped floors in silence. She was now known by name, trusted by guests, and respected by her team. But she still smiled at the cleaning staff. She still helped carry boxes if someone was struggling. She still gave warm hellos to security guards. She hadn't forgotten where she started. People were noticing. One afternoon, during a big charity event held at the hotel, Amara stood at the welcome desk, greeting fancy guests. Her voice was calm, her smile polite, but her heart beat fast. She had never seen so many powerful people in one place: business owners, celebrities, even reporters. Then the glass doors swung open. Crystal Monroe walked in wearing a bright red dress and tall heels. Her chin was lifted high, her lips painted sharp. She didn't notice Amara at first. But when she walked up to the desk, her eyes landed on the name tag. Amara Blake. Her face dropped. "You," she said, voice small but cold. "Still pretending to belong here?" Amara looked up at her, calm as the sky. "I work here," she said. "I don't have to pretend." Crystal scoffed. "This hotel has really lowered its standards." A guest standing nearby frowned. Amara didn't answer. She looked Crystal in the eyes and said gently, "Please enjoy the event. Let me know if you need anything." Then she turned to help someone else. That was power. Real power. The kind that doesn't yell. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself. Later that night, something unexpected happened. Logan Carter stepped onto the hotel's stage at the event. The crowd clapped. Some gasped, they didn't know he would be there. Logan rarely spoke in public. But this time he had something important to say. He held the microphone and looked out at the faces. "I built this hotel from the ground up," he said. "Not with money, but with grit, respect, and people who cared. Tonight I want to share a story." Everyone grew quiet. Logan continued. A while ago, I saw a young woman walking to work. It was raining hard. A car passed by and splashed mud all over her. The woman in the car laughed, but the young woman didn't scream or cry. She stood up straight, wished her attacker a good day, and kept walking. The room was still. That moment stayed with me, Logan said. That kind of strength, it's rare. So I looked into her story. Crystal's face turned pale. She had every reason to give up, Logan said. But she didn't. She took care of her little sister. She worked 2 jobs. And then she earned her way into the Crowville Hotel Academy. Amara stood frozen near the back, eyes wide. I gave her a scholarship, Logan said. I helped her behind the scenes. But everything she achieved, she did it with her own hands. Logan turned and pointed toward the back of the room. Amara Blake, please come up here. The crowd turned. Amara's heart pounded. She didn't move at first. Then someone touched her arm gently and whispered, go. She walked to the stage, legs shaking. Logan smiled as she joined him. This young woman, he said, is the future of this hotel. People clapped. Some stood. Amara blinked back tears. And today, Logan added, I'm proud to announce something new. We are opening a new outreach division at Crown Grand Hotel. Its mission is to support girls like Amara, girls who are overlooked but full of greatness. The crowd roared with applause. And Amara Blake, Logan said, turning to her, will be the director. Amara gasped. She had no words, but the look on her face said everything. That night, Amara stood by the balcony with Zuri by her side. The stars sparkled above the city. Zuri wore a little dress and held Amara's hand tightly. You're a boss now? Zuri asked, eyes wide. Amara laughed. I guess so. Zuri leaned her head on Amara's arm. I always knew you were magic, she whispered. Just then, Crystal walked past behind them. Her smile was gone. Her confident walk was slower. No one was taking pictures of her. No one was asking her questions. A few guests even moved away from her, whispering. Someone had shared the video from the rainy day. The day she laughed at a girl she thought was beneath her. It had gone viral after the event. People had seen her true colors. She walked by quietly. Amara didn't look at her. She didn't need revenge. She already had victory. Over the next few months, Amara's life changed, but her heart stayed the same. She worked hard in her new role, creating programs for young girls who cleaned hotels or served food but dreamed of more. She gave them support, classes, hope. She visited schools and told her story. People listened. They cried. They believed. Zuri started school too. She'd tell anyone who asked, my sister works in a hotel. She's the boss. She helps people. And Logan Carter? He watched from a distance. One day, Amara met him again in his office. She was there for a meeting, but she finally had the courage to ask. Why did you help me? She said. That day. That scholarship. The job. Logan leaned back in his chair. Because I saw a light in you. One the mud couldn't cover. Amara looked down. Logan added softly, you reminded me of my mother. She cleaned floors too. But she taught me to dream. Amara blinked away tears. I'm glad you saw me, she whispered. I never stopped, Logan said. As Amara walked out of his office that day, she looked at her reflection in the shiny hotel glass. Her suit, her badge, her calm, bright face. She no longer felt small. She felt strong. Amara Blake had once been covered in mud. But now she stood in the light, and she shined for others too. Moral of the story: no matter where you come from or how others treat you, your kindness, hard work, and strength can take you far. Even when people try to bring you down, never stop believing in yourself. True success isn't about money or fame. It's about how you treat others, how you rise after being knocked down, and how you help others rise with you. The world notices true goodness, even when you think no one is watching. Thank you so much for reading Rich Lady Splashes Mud on Cleaner Girl. Unaware who was watching. This story was written with love, imagination, and hope. To inspire young hearts to believe in themselves, stand tall in tough times, and never let anyone make them feel small. We hope Amara's journey shows you that your story matters, your dreams are possible, and kindness always wins in the end.